Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric here at Moss Pawn and Guns, Jonesboro, Georgia. I want to take a moment to make a quick video for you guys today. We're going to be talking about a couple of 9mm and 380 single stack firearms. One of the reasons that we actually got into this video today is because we got back from SHOT Show and we had a little Glock Model 42 waiting on us when we got back. And this is a single stack 380 Glock. This is new for Glock. This year, 2014. At the time this video is being made, this is a very new gun. So we thought that it would be an excellent opportunity to compare this gun to many of the other offerings on the market that are out there. Glock, I suppose with this particular model, is kind of a newcomer to the scene of small single stack pistols, whereby several other companies have kind of taken up arms, so to speak, in getting those types of guns out on the market. What we're going to do is talk a little bit about them. The 42 is Glock's single stack 380. It's very slim. There's definitely some improvements to ergonomics that have been made to this gun. It really fits the hand quite nicely. You'll see some up-close B-roll shots where I'm showing you size comparisons. The only thing comparable in Glock's current line that they have to this would be the Model 27 or 26, which is a double stack subcompact, which basically a lot of people refer to this as the baby Glock. I guess this is the new infant Glock then, if this is the baby. So we've got the 27 here, which is a 40 caliber double stack. A lot of you guys are probably asking, well, why would you compare this 380 to this gun? Obviously this is not marketing the same person. Well, I have to disagree. It is marketing the same person, because it's somebody that wants a small gun that's easy to hide, easy to conceal. And the 26 and 27, many of you know, for many years, the subcompact line of Glocks have definitely been a very tough contender for a concealed carry, everyday carry type pistol. So you'll see a B-roll shot where we're comparing the 27, the 42, and the Glock 36. Not a lot of people tend to know about this gun quite as much, but many people don't know that Glock has a single stack 45 ACP pistol, and that's the Glock 36 here. It feels really nice in the hand. It's very comfortable to point and shoot, and I have shot the 36. It's an outstanding firearm. I haven't really had a chance to buy one of these for my collection yet, but this is one of the guns that, in my opinion, is a very, very good contender for a everyday carry, concealed carry Glock in terms of what's in Glock's line. So to compare apples to apples in terms of the 42 versus what's already out there in Glock's line, that should give you a good idea of the three guns and how they compare to each other. Now, how do the Glock 42 compare to what else is out on the market? Well, you have to ask yourself, what is the Glock trying to compete with? Well, it's a small single stack 380. It's very ergonomic. Of course, it's a Glock, so you know it's a relatively tough as nails gun. I can't imagine needing to take a Glock and throw it in the mud or anything like that. However, be that as it may, I can definitely see the Glock 42 being a contender to compete with like the Bersa concealed carry line, which has the low profile sights, double single action trigger mechanism. Size wise, these guns are extremely similar. I would say that the 42 definitely has an edge on ergonomics in terms of how the gun feels in the hand, although the concealed carry model has some nice little finger swells built into the frame, the low profile sights, and they went through the trouble to actually scallop the hammer and make it a lot smaller, so that even though it is a double single action pistol, in the 380 realm, this is definitely a contender to compete with the Model 42. So that's definitely one thing that struck me. So some people are going to say, well, Eric, why would you compare a 380 single stack pistol to 9mm single stack pistols like we're going to? Well, to answer the question, I'm going to tell you why. It's because of the size. Now, when you look at this single stack 380, okay, it holds 6 shots and 1 in the spout. So it's a 7-shot 380 semi-automatic pistol. One detractor from the 42 that I'm not quite as crazy about is the size of the trigger guard. It's still got that big bulky trigger guard, whereby when you look at other models that are out there, like the Ruger LC9, the Kel-Tec PF9, even some of the other models that I'm about to show you, they didn't really go through any effort to make the trigger guard physically smaller, which honestly, when you're going for a compact gun, you want something that is extremely small and it's not going to snag or anything like that. Now, they were probably just trying to keep to the traditional Glock styling, but that's one area, in my opinion, that probably could have been looked at a little bit. However, not very much of a detractor. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of Kydex holsters out there that will work for the 42 just like any other model. Now, in terms of the 42, all right, a lot of people are saying, okay, well, they should have made the 42 in a 9mm. Well, I agree. It's not to say that Glock won't have this gun out in a 9mm, but that leads me to my next argument. So, comparing the size of this gun to something like, say, the Kel-Tec P3AT or the Ruger LCP, which chiefly, as a small concealable carry gun, you can definitely see how much smaller the Kel-Tec and Ruger offerings are compared to the 42. So, I mean, is it supposed to compete with that? I'm not really sure. I mean, I guess it just comes down to your individual preference and what you're looking for. With the LCP, and I do own one of these, the thing that I like is the rounded trigger guard, which makes it a lot smoother to, you know, ride in the pocket or in a small holster, the small size, and definitely has nice ergonomics in terms of the overall size. I mean, throwing ergonomics around when you're talking about a 380 single stack might be a relatively moot point. However, it is something to consider. I mean, it's not a gun you're going to be taking to the range and just shooting all the time for pure pleasure, whereby the 42 might. It's a comfortable range piece, it fits well in the hand, and in terms of ergonomics and the way it feels in the hand, the 42 definitely has an edge over other similar pistols on the market. So that's probably something to consider. The LCP and the P3AT are excellent guns in their own right, and to compare the 42 to them, is it fair? Well, maybe so. I mean, they both hold equal amount of shots, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. This little gun, I think, is a 6-shot. You see how many holds the Ruger? Yeah, so the Ruger's a 6-shot mag and one in the spout, so both guns make for 7 shots, semi-automatic. Now, comparing the Bersa to the 42, I can see where that would make a lot of sense, but here's where it kind of gets a little bit tricky. Then you start getting up into guns that are very similar size with the 42, yet they're 9mm. So then you start getting into that point where you look at the Smith & Wesson Shield, okay, and it's a very lightweight handgun. If you put a flat base mag in this gun, you've got almost identical size to the Model 42. They're both striker fired, they're both polymer frame. I mean, you know the spiel there. I don't have to go into the details of these guns because many of you guys know all the intricacies that go around these particular guns, okay? We know that the polymer frame striker fire pistol market is very hot right now. So there's going to be a lot of that going on. But I kind of find it hard to justify buying the 42 unless maybe as a backup or for my wife for her purse or something like that, when I can buy a 9mm shield and it's got the nice rounded off trigger guard, of course the one detractor that I found in the 42. It also has the ability to hold 8 shots of 9mm, of course a more powerful cartridge, and you have the ability to have the +1 mag versus the flat floor plate magazine, and the gun, for those that care, has a manual safety. So some people may consider that to be a plus or a detractor depending on how you want to look at it. But me personally, as a, you know, just my opinion, I think the Shield pretty much still owns a market for any single stack, small frame, polymer, everyday carry gun. I personally still am going to vouch for the Shield, although I do love the Model 42 and I plan on picking one up. I think that's kind of where it stacks up against those types of guns. Now obviously you have a lot of other guns that are in competition with the Shield that the 42 would pretty much fall into the direct exact standpoint with. So if I put the Shield aside and I look at, say, the Diamondback, all right, the Diamondback is a little bit fatter. It is pretty much a copy of a Glock. It's a polymer frame, striker fired, set up just like a Glock. It's got the same style of trigger guard, so a little bit more of a squared off trigger guard. It's got a little bit fatter grip. The gun doesn't feel quite as good in the hand. The gun doesn't really have quite as good of a trigger, in my opinion. But when you compare the 42 to the little Diamondback DB9, you can see that the guns are almost identical in size. If not, the DB is actually a little bit shorter and lighter weight. And then yet, what do you have again? 9mm in a gun that is actually smaller than the Model 42. So if you're willing to accept the validity or invalidity of the reliability of this gun, if you think that a Diamondback is as reliable as a Glock, well then there you go. The answer's clear. that if you want a 9mm in the size of a 44 or 42 rather, you're going to go with the Diamondback. Personally, I'd still rather have a Glock, but that's just my opinion. Then you have the Springfield XDS. One thing right off the bat I can compare, especially even to the Shield and some of the other single stack offerings that we looked at, is that the XDS is definitely a heavier gun. It's a little bulkier feeling. The texture on the grip is much more aggressive, so it's definitely going to bite into your hand a little bit harder. Some of you may prefer that. I can say that fit and finish wise, these guns are just beautifully fit and finished. You know, well polished feed ramps, you know, just beautiful construction overall. To compare the 42 to this gun might be a little bit unfair because they are very different niches and very different markets. However, I can say that the XDS is probably something to consider. It is a little bulkier and heavier than the 42, so it may not be a direct comparison, but it is just something to consider to show you guns that are in the similar size range. And all these guns are in a very similar price range as well. So that's something to consider. Of course, you're going to have your Beretta Nano. Some of you guys like Beretta, some of you don't. I personally think this gun is actually pretty comfortable in the hand. Of course, size-wise, it's much larger than the 42. So, you know, the 42 is going to be a slimmer gun. And mind you, most of these single stack guns I've showed you are 9mm. So there's really, it's hard to draw a comparison to the 42 when there's only so many single stack 380s out there that are going to be anywhere close to size and price range and intended use and everything like that. So the Beretta, you know, is what it is, single stack 9mm. Same thing with the Walther PPS. You know, this gun is definitely a little bit on up there in terms of the size range. It's definitely nice and slim. It's got a very slim profile to it. Compared to the Glock, it's most certainly larger by a humongous margin. It is a bigger gun. So when talking about size, if you're not concerned about the difference between 380 or 9mm, well then right there the choice becomes quite clear. Some of you guys aren't going to be a big fan of the European style magazine release on the Walthers. Some of you guys don't like the way the trigger stacks on this. Personally, I like this gun because it's nice and slim. But then again, you know, still I think the Shield kind of wins. However, I do love this gun and I intend on picking one up. But maybe I'm a little bit of an odd one out of the bunch. I like to have a lot of different guns of the same type. You know, I'm not just going to buy a Smith & Wesson Shield and then say, all right, I'm going to call it a done day. This is the only single stack 9 I'm going to buy. Of course not. I'll buy a 42 because why wouldn't I? I like 380s. And there's no reason not to have the 42 because, as stated before, it's definitely a comfortable gun. You know, it fits well in the hand. It points naturally. It's definitely a new Glock. And I say that because every single Glock that comes out, it just seems like they are so generic and they're just such a just slightly changed form of something that existed before. But this is the first time we've really seen a new Glock hit the shelf that is truly new. And the overall ergonomics of the gun are fabulous. If you guys have a chance to put the gun in your hand, you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, we compared the other Glocks. I do have a little car right here. Now, car has had a couple of issues over the years when it comes to price. Some people aren't really happy with the prices that some of the cars have commanded. However, size-wise, they are extremely similar guns. And again, probably an unfair comparison because this car is a 9mm and not a 380. Now, Car does make a 380 that is actually smaller than this 42. I didn't have one of those here to show you today. However, this gun, for being as small and slim as it is, this is the CM series of the Car. These guns are priced right, and the pricing points on these are pretty much in line with Glock. So everything that I've showed you, with the exception of a few, they're all going to be around the $500 price range, which is probably going to be about what most of us want to spend on this type of gun. So I know this video might have been a little bit drug out and drawn out. However, I just felt that it was important to really showcase all of the good quality single stack 380s and 9mm that are out there, because I know that it's a very popular idea for people to carry an everyday carry gun in 380 or 9mm, something polymer frame, striker fired, single stack. That's really hot on today's market. There's a ton of Kydex out there that fits these guns. A lot of people like to just rock a little single stack 380 or 9mm and some Kydex, go out the door and be done with it, especially in the winter when it's easy to hide a bigger gun. Summertime, you know, it's not quite as easy to hide a bigger gun, so obviously the single stack pistol's kind of coming into favor for that reason. Not that big one that he just walked by with. But anyway, guys, we greatly appreciate you watching today's video. I know this one was a little bit drawn out, but I felt that it was very important to show you guys the differences of all the guns that are out there and what each one kind of has to offer, and to just kind of give my take on what I think about these individual guns. This was definitely a good excuse for me to show you guys the 42, which I think is a beautiful firearm. It's definitely a nice gun. Is that to say that there are better options for the money? Well, I suppose that depends on what you want. It still comes at the end of the day down to personal preference and what you want as an individual. So I would definitely encourage you guys to go to gun shops, check them out, hold them in your hand, see how you like them. We do have all these guns in stock here at Moss. If you think about it, you want to come by, we'll be happy to show you any of them. So guys, we appreciate the support. All the phone calls we get, you guys are always you know, the first ones to call us up and give your support and your thanks, and we do appreciate that. You know, it doesn't go unnoticed. So guys, we appreciate you watching today. We have many more videos on the way. Make sure that you're commenting, subscribing, liking us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Check out the website. We have many more projects in line that are on the way that I know you guys are going to like. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.